All right, everyone, it's time to talk about evolution. Link in the description, archived, of course. I do not believe that skeptics of evolution should be silenced. They should not be suppressed. They should not be demoted. They should be allowed their free speech. They should be allowed to express themselves. That being said, evolution is real. It's pretty observable. We see it all the time in bacteria. We see it with the artificial selection of certain plants and animals, of course. Chicken nowadays does not look like a chicken did 100 years ago. That's the result of selective breeding and things like that. Now, I believe that evolution is a very, very slow natural process. It can take thousands or even millions of years. Humans have sped it up by using selective breeding. For instance, the original Brassica species have now branched out into all manner of different subspecies at this point. The same with virtually every crop. For instance, teosinte is not the same as the maize or the modern corn that is grown in your garden. They are totally different. I grew teosinte once, actually. It was very, very fun, although it didn't really produce anything, so yeah, didn't really get to try it. And then you have like the little Chinese corn and stuff like that, but they're clearly indicative of a common lineage, so to speak. The same is true of hominids. The same is true of many other animals, chimpanzees and bonobos. A wolf versus a dog. Can they interbreed? Yes, absolutely. Are they slowly speciating? Yeah, I don't think that under general circumstances, a pug dog or a chihuahua is going to breed with a wolf. Is it possible? I guess, nature finds a way. That would be a very, very interesting hybrid. But generally speaking, unless humans get involved and do insemination or something, they have effectively speciated. And speciation can come with size, with mating customs, things like that. And it's quite clear, though, that evolution is indeed real. Now, this particular article talks about the different attacks on evolution, speaks about the Scopes trial and things like that. Here's what I believe. I believe that if somebody does not want to believe in evolution, they should not be silenced. I believe in the same thing that I believe for virtually every other subject. If you do not like what they're saying, if you disagree with it, and I'd be willing to debate anyone on the topic of evolution because it's so self-explanatory, and I studied biology, so I know a little bit about it. I've bred plants myself. You can debate them, you can walk away from them, silence them effectively to your ears. You don't have to listen to them. If you're offended, turn it off. You don't need to legislate against it. You don't need a corporation to fact check them or to silence them, and so forth. I've gotten into it before, especially back in the 2000s when I was on YouTube. Of course, I was a proponent of evolution. And back then it was a little bit more of a sketchy subject because there were still quite a few people that didn't believe that evolution existed. And I would debate them. Or if I didn't like what they were saying, I would just say, "Yeah, go away. I'm going to have my opinion. You're going to have yours. This is the way to do it." And this is the way that I've conducted my channel now since 2008. I do not believe that appealing to a corporation to silence somebody is a good idea. We've seen this with medical disinfo. We've seen it with war footage on various sites. We've seen it with all sorts of things. Climate change. And it's not really meaningful. In the end, actually, you're arguing against yourself. If a corporation, which is generally not going to be trusted by the average Joe public, decides to take a hard stance on an issue and silence people that are on the other side, normally what happens is that other side gains more leverage, actually. And so I don't exactly know what they hope to achieve actually in so doing. So if you want to be skeptical about evolution on my channel, you're not going to get banned. And by the way, some people think that I ban people. I haven't done that in a very, very long time, my friend, because I don't believe in it, number one, and because it's a waste of my time, number two. So if your comment gets blocked, that's YouTube doing it. It ain't me, trust me. Uh, Go ahead and be skeptical of evolution, but just know that it is observably real. And we can see it in real time. The longer the lifespan of a species, the longer the time it will take for it to speciate. This is probably a statement about why we don't see more advanced life forms in the universe, by the way. Because as they get more advanced, they tend to gestate longer, they tend to be raised longer, it takes them longer to mature, and those species are less able to adapt to an inhospitable climate. Bacteria, no problem. Well, there's a high radiation level. Well, 100 generations later, some of them are radiotrophs or something like that. Insects, a little bit longer, but again, generation after generation. Mice and shit like that, smaller plants. With trees or humans or elephants, things like that, that live for 50, maybe 500 years, it takes a little bit longer for them to adapt to things. Just my own personal hypothesis, by the way. But evolutionary theory has been fleshed out at this point by enough evidence that effectively we can just regard it as true at this point. This is, in my mind, it is corroborated fully. Um, of course, there's a little bit of tinkering with regards to genetics and things like that. And of course, there's always modifications to theories going forth. But the basic premise that a species can change over time, microevolution is even accepted by evangelical Christians. They just don't believe in macroevolution. Of course, again, if you look at mating habits, behavioralism, size, and so forth, that speciation would indeed be real. But I do not believe in censoring people with differing beliefs. If they want to reject the theory of evolution, how is this an existential threat to society? Doesn't matter if you're wrong. Who decides whether you're wrong, by the way? Scientists? Scientists are constantly, redoing their hypotheses and their theories and so forth. They're constantly reorienting them. So I don't really see the problem there. That's about all. Peace out.